So I wanted to try and do some videos, not just vlogs, but videos regarding what's going on in my life and my situation and my personal goings on with cystic fibrosis and how it affects me, what I'm doing to help myself, what I am trying to do as a whole with my raising awareness, etc. And today I thought I'd start with Kaftrio / Trikafta because it is one of the most commonly talked about things with cystic fibrosis, because of how revolutionary it is and how many lives it's changing. So I wanted to talk about my experience and hope that this helps, resonates, or other people can find comfort in what I've been going through with it, because I know if I had had this information when I first started it, I wouldn't have felt as bad as I did about not being able to take it. So without further ado, I started Kaftrio in 2021, not long after trying Symkevi for, I think it must have been about 6 months. And that kept me at a even baseline, but it didn't do a huge amount of stuff for me. There was no purge like there is with Kaftrio, and there was no real sort of overnight kind of massive difference. Looking back, this situation that happened was related to the Kaftrio. However, I didn't know that at the time. So within the first 2 weeks of starting, I was on IV antibiotics so that we really got the best out of the purge and the start of Kaftrio. And I ended up in A&E because one night I had such an overwhelming feeling of impending doom and a panic attack basically, but it was bad and I'd never experienced it. I've had anxiety, I've had moments of panic, but this was a full-blown out of my control situation. My heart rate was nearly 200 and you couldn't convince me in that moment that I wasn't going to die or that something bad wasn't happening. So I actually got an ambulance and went to A&E. However, nothing was found. They couldn't figure out anything that was amiss with my results or stuff. So I just went home and carried on as usual. The next 3 months that happened regularly, and I had visited A&E more than once because something didn't seem right. It wasn't until about a month or two in that I attributed it to the Kaftrio, and it was the overwhelming sense of impending doom. It was the panic, it was the anxiety, it was the not being able to leave my house sometimes, it was the mood swings, the headaches were insane, the aura migraines were very, very frequent, and I've suffered from migraines anyway. They were so much worse whilst on Kaftrio. I would wake up in the middle of the night crying my eyes out, sweating, heart rate through the roof. I couldn't feel my arms. I couldn't explain it, and I was not panicking about anything. There was nothing to trigger that, and that's what I wasn't able to understand, and thought this must be something else. And the only thing that I had changed at that point was starting Kaftrio. However, the heartbreaking thing about my situation here is my lungs were great. I managed to get them up to 112% lung function. Over time, it did drop to 90. However, that's still absolutely incredible. So to not be able to have it was one of the hardest decisions of my life. I, since starting it, have tried lower doses, switching doses around, pediatric doses. I have tried antidepressants, benzodiazepines, and herbal remedies also. And in the same year I had gone to pass my driving test, and I had managed to do that luckily. I don't know how, because my mind was so frazzled, and in that period of time I also had something called a TIA, which is a transient ischemic attack, which is a stroke-like event. However, there was no blood clots on my brain. The CT didn't show anything that could have suggested it was a full-blown stroke, but I had the facial droop, I had the numb extremities, and had to call an ambulance, and they said yep, facial droop, and they blue lighted me to resus. Nothing came of that. So again, in my head I'm thinking it has to be Kaftrio. Nothing else in my life has changed. I have been on a pediatric dose, and unfortunately a couple of doses in, I still ended up having these really horrible night terror things that I used to have, which suggests to me that even on a smaller dose, when it builds up in my system, that's when the problem starts. Whatever dose I was on, it would just build up. In 2022, I found out I had tuberculosis, and the medication for tuberculosis means that you can't actually be on Kaftrio anyway. So I had to come off, and that is the last time I had Kaftrio, was in 2022. Things have got a bit rocky for me since, and the question has been, should you start it again, because things aren't looking great. This is where I've really stumbled upon some hard times, because I want to be on it and I want to feel like I did with my lungs again, but I cannot live in that mind that I was living in. My brain was not my brain, and I don't actually think I would have made it out alive either way, if I'm going to be putting it completely honest with you, because my mind was a scary place to be, whether that was psychological, physiological, or caused by the medication or caused by me, I don't know. But I couldn't live on Kaftrio, and it was scary. It was more scary than what I'm going through now. At least what I know now is familiar. I have been gaslit by a lot of medical professionals. However, I have been massively validated by others in my situation who have had to stop it themselves. I've had a consultant, a CF consultant, tell me that he believes me, that he validates my story. There is another cystic fibrosis advocate called Ben Mudge, who also had to come off for similar reasons. I have unfortunately also received lots of nasty comments and things from people saying I have given up an opportunity that others would kill for. The people who with CF who have died before me deserve to have this drug, and I'm just throwing it away because I feel a bit weird on it. That's not the case at all. I have a child to live for, and if I could compartmentalise the way it makes me feel mentally and the way it makes me feel physically, I would. I woke up every day fearing what was going to happen to me in that day. So it has not been an easy decision for me, and there is so much else that goes into this story. There is so much more detail that I could talk about. However, it's one of those things where you have to make that decision yourself. Whether I agree with other people going on it or whether I agree with people putting their children on it is another story. You have to make that informed decision yourself, and videos like mine could help you understand that yes, you should try it, but if you feel this way or your child starts to feel this way, do not feel any shame or feel bad for not being able to be on it or put your children on it, because I can explain to you how trapped I felt in my own head. It was not a nice place to be. And those it works for, I completely believe it should be on the market and stay on the market, because it is incredible. It is life-changing, and it is changing the future of cystic fibrosis. I couldn't tolerate Expirience because Symkevi is fine for me, but the addition of Expirience I couldn't cope with. And it does pass the blood-brain barrier, that has been proven. Obviously, I went through a huge phase of feeling guilty because I have a child to be around for, and what it was doing for my lungs was suggest that I would potentially be adding years onto my life. I can't guarantee that, because cystic fibrosis is so volatile and so unforgiving that you don't know what's going to happen. And there are a lot of people on Kaftrio who have noticed that the effectiveness has started sort of waning in the last few months to year. I do know that it's changed the lives of so many. So many have been on the transplant list and actually managed to come off of it completely. They no longer have CF diabetes, their sweat tests are normal. So I don't want anyone to think that I'm a Kaftrio naysayer and that I'm trying to ruin everybody else's experience. I just want to tell you mine in case you're going through the same thing, or perhaps haven't actually found anyone in the same position as them. I have tried all of the titerations. I have tried different doses. I have tried tapering up, tapering down. I've tried it all. I have exhausted every avenue personally. Now, there might be something else out there that I haven't tried, but I've tried everything that has been suggested or that I have found. That is not to say that it is a no-go at all ever. It is just a, right now I need to focus on my life in a capacity I can deal with. I did not have the mental capacity to deal with my life, and I want to enjoy my life, and weirdly enough, despite how sick I am, I can still enjoy my life. But I was well on Kaftrio and struggling to even get to the beach. I was sat on the beach having panic attacks and feeling like I was going to die. That's no life. I can be poorly, I can struggle with my lungs, I can go out and enjoy myself. Kaftrio, I was looking at beautiful views. I was not able to enjoy it because I had this constant feeling of angst, anxiousness, anger, sadness. It was awful. Within 7 days of coming off of Kaftrio, everything was back to normal. And then every time I started it again, within 3 days, I was feeling the same way. Now, there will be people out there who say it was just psychological. It's because you were scared of the new life ahead of you. I'm not scared of living, trust me, because I'm still trying to do that now. I'm still trying to prolong my life, just without Kaftrio. So I'm not scared of living. I'm not scared of being healthy. I'm not scared of the change. But whatever Kaftrio did to pass the blood-brain barrier made me feel that way. Antidepressants made it worse. It helped some. I don't want to be on antidepressants because I'm not now and I've never needed them. So I don't want to have to take a medication that makes me have to need antidepressants because maybe that medication isn't good for me in the first place. And I just want this video to be a little experience of mine to help you feel better about yours if you aren't having a good time on it, and to not feel guilty if you can't take it, or not to feel pressure to take it by your friends, family and doctors. If you've been gaslit about it, I'm here to tell you it's not all in your head. What it is what it is. I hope that Vertex will listen to people and push a new drug to come out. I hope this video hasn't put anyone off in a bad way to start it. I think everyone should try it, everyone should start it. I want this video to be if you start to feel this way, please don't feel bad about that. If you have any questions, ask in the comments. Bye.